On today's episode, we have 5 industry experts discussing copyright in the movie industry. Welcome to the industry.
Hi, my name is Ekene Somekonya. I'm a filmmaker.
I'm Ijoma Grace Agum, I'm an actor and a producer.
Hi, my name is Shola Thompson. I'm a film critic.
Hi, my name is Larry Tyson. I'm a filmmaker.
Hi, my name is Georgette Manu, and I'm an entertainment lawyer.
So we're talking about copyright in Nigeria and what our general perception or general feel of it is. So I guess we'd like to kick off with you, Larry Tyson.
For me, I think we need to address this from 4 different angles. First of all, I think we need to look at the legal framework. Is there a legal framework? If yes, what's the state of that legal framework? Secondly, I think we also need to look at the enforcement. If people go to courts, do they finally get due justice, or is it just a framework that has no enforcement? Thirdly, going in reverse, I think we also need to look at best practices. Do practitioners, producers actually copyright to start with? If there's a framework and there's enforcement, if you don't, do best practice by actually going the way of copyrighting your ideas and your materials, then there's no point. The framework and the enforcement is useless. And I think the fourth thing we also need to talk about is the advocacy. If people are not taking copyright seriously, what are we doing to ensure that we're talking about it such that people understand that you need to do it, this is the right way to do it, the framework exists, the enforcement exists. So I think we need to tackle that in those 4. And thank God we have a very intelligent lawyer here who can.
It'll be fantastic to hear, from you, as we heard you agreeing to a lot of the things you were saying. So, your take on this as an entertainment lawyer, how has it? What are the things you tackle with on a daily basis as far as copyright is concerned?
Well, I think, first of all, it's good to let everyone know that there is indeed a legal framework, actually. The legal framework that we have in Nigeria is the Copyright Act, which I'm sure most of you are probably aware of. And within the Copyright Act, you do have, various rights that are protected. And in this case, we're talking about film. We're talking about the cinematograph rights, which is the rights in your actual, completed, produced film. And so there is a legal framework, and I think it's important when we talk about legal framework, well, you have the laws there, how about enforcement? So I think that's a fantastic point that you make. Enforcement in Nigeria is problematic. Unfortunately, we feel, and I think from the conferences that we've had in the recent past, at least in the last 2 years, we can see that the government is taking a keen interest in the Nollywood industry. With that in mind, they're saying that, okay, we can have conversations about it. The next step is, what do we do when we've had conversations? The next step is implementation. And I think for implementation purposes, we unfortunately do not have enough enforcement agents around. And I think we'll talk about piracy probably a little bit later, so maybe I won't delve into that right now. Unfortunately, where we have, creatives in the industry coming to us, is at the point at which everything has gone wrong. Everything has gone wrong. There's complete chaos. Maybe you're a screenwriter. Unfortunately, the producer you're working with on a friend's basis has taken your script, has turned it into a film, and we're in court. I think majority of us have heard about the Okafor's law situation. I'm sure most of us will be able to talk about it from a creative angle as well. So first of all, as a creative, it's expensive to come to us when everything has gone wrong. It is incredibly expensive. We're talking about legal fees, we're talking about fees in court, we're talking about litigation, which is a very long time period. Right now, as a lawyer, what we try to do when we're drafting contracts is to make court completely the last resort. Going to court is not going to help you. You have a film, you need to make money. If the subject matter of litigation is your work, there's no way you're going to be able to have your film screenings, there's no way you're going to be able to distribute the film anywhere, and you won't be able to make your money. So, as a creative, you might not like us, but you kind of need us. I think the important thing is taking a stand, and if you don't do that, then who will? And I have a client that came into us recently, and she was saying to me, she's like, I actually don't mess around. And everybody in the industry knows I don't, and she's in the music industry. And she was like, no, before I pitch you what my idea is, before I give you a sample of my music, you have to sign the contract. And I will literally walk you out if you don't. And that's just the way she operates. And people find her ridiculous. But it's important to have such quote-unquote ridiculous people in the industry, because if you don't, how can the industry really move forward?
I have a question, because we were talking about litigation.
Yeah.
as a lawyer, I want to find out how many people have gone to court and really won cases with regards to this in Nigeria right now. I'm just asking, as a layman.
That might be a hard number to pull off.
Yeah.
No,
but-
because sorry, and I have to say this. I know it sounds ridiculous. I've heard people that will say, listen, I'll tear our MOU here right now, nothing will happen. And really, I know I've heard it over time, and really nothing did happen. I'm not. So I think one of the problem is, do we even want to enforce these things, even though we have an MOU? Because I've thought about it. Really, I have some MOUs, and I know deep down inside of me that
It almost seems worthless.
these people, I'm not going to take them to court.
If I may ask, has there been any situation that people can use as an example? You know, like as he mentioned, the MOU. So if maybe there was a situation where somebody was sued and that person won, that person would stand as a deterrent for people who want to try the same thing as a scapegoat. So has there been anybody close to that, or has there been any case as such to make people be aware that okay, the entertainment lawyers will come for you and mess you up if you disregard such? Yeah.
I think it's a tough question to answer because obviously as lawyers we don't have purview over every single case that's come before court and has been settled out of court. I would say to you that yes, you are right. You know, majority of the players in the industry definitely do not want to go to court and see court as their last resort. But however, I think in recent ages we have had clients that have insisted on fulfilling and going to the full extent of the law in relation to their rights and their obligations. We have written several letters of demand, and sometimes that's actually where it stops. You might not even need to go to court. So what I mean to say is, there's a client of ours that came in. His musical work was shown in a film, and the film producer didn't get permission. Now, internationally, we know that there's always clearance. Like, you have to clear all the different rights, you know.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, in this particular instance, they didn't ask for permission. So what did we do? Send your letter of demand, and we mean business. Majority of the players in the industry get scared now when they receive letters like that.
So you call it the letter of demand.
The letter of demand. That's
So you
actually
can
what
use
it's
that
called.
to threaten whoever.
Yeah.
You
My lawyers will send you a letter of demand. And
So, I wanted to ask you, with those type of best practices, you are at risk of getting yourself blacklisted, because you might now seem like the kind of person who doesn't exactly play very well. Because, like, look, right, Nigeria, you know how things go here, so why are you trying to be difficult? So what happens in those type of situations, and how would you say, you know, how would you be able to pull that off and at the same time also keep your friends?
I'll speak from two perspectives. It's fine if you're blacklisted. Know that that can happen, and it's fine.
Yep.
They can die tomorrow.
Wow. Dark.
And that black.
That's
No, I'm
deep.
serious. Nobody has
No,
any
true.
hold
But
on
it's not only one
anybody's
person that
lives.
blacklists you.
No, I'm
Nigeria.
Trust
The industry,
me,
if-
in the
if-
industry, there are no permanent enemies, there are no permanent friends.
I
So
agree.
if that person that started it dies, the others hands off. I'm sorry, I'm not being diabolical. I'm
But
just
sorry,
saying that
I
there's
get
a God
you.
in heaven
But are you
who is
saying,
going
sorry,
to
wait
fight your cause.
a minute. Ijoma, are you saying that we have to wait till that person dies?
No, I'm just saying, like I said, I was going to speak from two perspectives.
Okay, all
The
right.
perspective of being stubborn and saying, you must sign this NDA, I don't care if you blacklist me. I'm saying, don't be afraid, you cannot be blacklisted. Nothing they happen is maximum 5 years down the line, you're still trudging and they're gone. Not dead, but they're gone. The other part is, if you do not want to be blacklisted, what then? You go the normal route of every Nigerian, which is now this is how we
let's just do
do
it.
it. But then does it make it better, and do we move forward as an industry? That's the pertinent question for every individual who
I
decides
have a
to
suggestion,
insist.
which I think, because like we had some conversations off the record, you know, before the cameras were rolling, and I dare to say we don't actually have an industry in this right sense of what an industry should
I
look like.
totally agree with you.
You know, because
structure.
in
I
fact,
totally agree
yeah,
with you.
because you know, there are certain things that, so in the case of someone blacklisting you, if you have a very strong screenwriters guild and you are registered, to start with, best practice won't be an issue, because for you to be a member, they are,
Follow due
you get.
protocol, yes.
And by the time you put in your case, your guild will fight for you. You don't have to
Yeah,
go to court.
yeah.
Yeah.
Your guild will have a lawyer.
Yeah.
Your guild will take up the case.
Yep.
And nobody can blacklist you because you have to get writers from the guild.
Yeah.
So are you going to blacklist the guild that houses all the registered? I mean,
That's true.
so I think we need to go back to the point
to the-
where we
yeah.
need to build an industry where guilds
agree
are
with
doing
you.
what they ought to do and they stand by the members. And
That's
every single professional must belong to the guild. But then it's a case of why would I join the guild if the guild is not structured to protect my interests? So I think the guilds need to
That's
pick up
where a lot of us
and
are.
do the right thing. And every single person would join the guilds, knowing fully well that they have that force to go back to.
Mm-hmm.
Because Nigeria now operates on a cabal system. From Aso Rock down to your Megad, everything is like. So
I don't know about
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
if you come
Yeah.
to my house, you're the guy who doesn't pay my Megad maybe 15 naira, he might decide to act like he's not,
He doesn't know, that your
it's-
guy
it's-
is around.
it's-
Yeah. You
you
must tip well.
You understand?
Happens
So
with
basically,
me.
But sorry, I have to ask, are you trying to say we don't have guilds in Nigeria?
We
I'm not
do
saying we
have
don't have
guilds.
guilds.
It's about
Okay,
implementation.
It's about having
what you're trying
profession-
to say is that our guilds are
not
are
effective.
literally not
they're
effective or not in there.
And that's moving forward with even new entrants into the industry because you know that after all, this person has been practicing for 5 years and nobody don't hold out. They have
can't
every
be a
boldness
doctor
to
without
just enter.
being a
Yeah.
member of the medical
if it was
association.
effective, a lot
you
of
can't be
us
an
would
engineer
be.
without being a member of the. You get what I mean?
If, as far as that being effective, let's be very honest. I'm not even trying to get political here. We do know that there are many things, as far as due process is concerned, that we fail at already as a country. To be perfectly honest. So, as far as a guild is concerned and making sure everything is properly done, we realize that it's like almost like you're fighting a losing battle. Now, what is now even more unfortunate is even outside the world, in America, for example, you have some people who are blacklisted still. I mean, they have a proper structure.
True.
They have everything in place,
True.
and they're still blacklisted. Like you have your Megan Fox who spoke to Michael B the wrong way.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you're blacklisted, and then that's it. She didn't show up for a while in the movies, and there are many actors where you're like, where did this person go? They were blacklisted.
True.
So they have a structure already. They have a proper industry. And now, coming to this side of town, our industry is not exactly very well structured.
No.
And then you now have the fact that they can blacklist you. So it almost seems like you do that, it's suicidal to your career. So is there a middle ground?
I think
Is there a way you
it's,
can say, okay, you know what, let me sue you, but I'm gonna take you out for drinks. Is there a way you can actually? What's the best way? Because you can't just be
Probably
black and
that
white.
letter of demand.
yeah, if you have an idea for a film, write it down because that's the only way copyright actually subsists. It's in written form. And write your idea down. And if you think that you want to pitch this idea to somebody that you think is going to be able to move your idea forward, irrespective of friendship or irrespective of wee-wee. In fact, use your wee-wee to even get them to sign the paper. It's not complicated. Let them sign an NDA, it's a 2-pager, just to say that, okay, anything I tell you is confidential as between us. And typically, in terms of industry best practices, if I'm a screenwriter and you want to use my script for a film, that's not happening, and you tell me that you have producers that you have across the globe that want to invest, or you have guys in Nigeria that want to finance it. We're signing an option and assignment agreement. And that's a very basic contract. It's not complicated. All you have in the contract is simply that, okay, you take my script, you have the option to be able to turn it into a film once you get the money for it. If you get the money for it, it turns into an assignment, and I assign the rights in the film to you.
Wow.
So you as a producer, you have basically done two things. One, you've gotten the rights from the writer in question to be able to make the film. And two, in the event that you get the money, you've cleared your rights already because the rights have now been assigned to you and you own it.
Interesting.
If the industry worked in that way, and I don't see why anybody should be afraid of contracts unless they're afraid of reneging on their
Exactly.
statement.
There, yep.
There's no reason why there should be a problem. If everything is supposed to go hunky-dory, and in the event that the guy, even after all the contract you've signed, decides that he doesn't want to give you the money or doesn't act as though he's supposed to in terms of obligations, then you have two options. You let out
Court.
demand, or you go to court, or you negotiate. There's no reason why you can't.
So we're speaking about the NDA, the non-disclosure agreement, and I was going to ask Ijoma this question. So somebody has an idea for you. Says, "Hi Ijoma, what's going on? My name is such and such. I have this idea. and so on. And then in that case, the person now says, oh, but before I tell you, even though I begged for your attention, can you please sign this? What happens then? Do you...
Shala, it's my career you want to kill.
Because
I'm about to
I can
bring
be honest with
myself
you, I know it's
out.
happened to me before, and I was like, you know, get out of my face.
I
So,
did
yeah.
the same exact thing and I'm so embarrassed. Wherever you are, if you're watching, I'm sorry I did that. I sent an email, I insulted the life out of him. I'm so sorry, I was ignorant. I've known better and I'll send it again. I'm sorry.
So I mean, it's on camera, so trust me, I'm pretty sure he or she would
I'm sorry.
appreciate that.
I'll apologize.
So as far as that culture is concerned, how would you say it can be best cultivated? Can best be cultivated?
I mean, first of all, I think there's education. I think, creators actually knowing what their rights are, understanding how best to protect them, whether you go and register your written ideas, at the NCC, if that's what you want to do, fine. Or you have an NDA that's also signed in acknowledgement of giving someone your script. But I think it can only come from all the industry players giving out the best that they can and do, just fulfilling industry best practices. I think that's the only way it can work.
So Ekene, you've probably also been in a case where someone's telling you an idea, and you realize you actually have the exact same idea.
Oh, that's happened to me too.
So what happens then? Do you now allow the person finish and then say, oh well, by the way, I had the same idea, and that person will look at you like, come on, man, that's such a wrong thing to do because it seems like you're about to just pilfer.
Yeah, I get it, but well, that's why some people would not allow you send them things except except you've even been able to sign that if it's an idea that I also have,
Yeah.
You can't come after me.
But in the case of a meet and greet, like let's say you're having a conversation where nothing is written down, the person says, hey, Ekene, what's going on?
I mean,
so I have this idea.
I get you, but that's life. I mean, okay, so I'll give you an example. I have a TV show that I created, and funny enough, one of my friends had spoken to me about some, but not exactly like that.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling, I created it with someone else, and when we came out, and he was like, you stole my idea. So those things happen, but you have to understand something. I don't think anyone has the monopoly of idea.
I agree.
Nobody.
There is, as long as you are thinking about it, there's someone also thinking about it somewhere.
Exactly.
Sure.
And that's why we have the NCC.
NCC.
And it's even easy now. You don't even need to go to their office. Those days, we need to go to their office at Costain.
Yeah.
But now, you just go online,
Online, yeah.
upload whatever it is that you're, and in a few weeks, they send you your certificate. So at that point, and that's what I do, actually with my scripts. Before I send you my script, in fact, the cover page you see is my NCC certificate. For you to just know that medicine has been copyrighted, and if you try anything, like we say, if you do anyhow, you can see anyhow. But I feel that makes it easy. So with that, I can share it with anyone, and if you do anything, I can take you up on it. Actually, knowing fully what that's been registered. So it covers you. But with regards to idea, okay, going to answer, can you even copyright just an idea and thinking, it's just my idea? I don't think so, except maybe the
What
guy
you
here
said
with
in
the
written
access.
form, yes.
In written form.
Yes, in written form, but at that time it's gone beyond an idea to something that you can copyright and not just something that is hanging in your head.
I have
at that point.
I actually have 3 instances. One happened 8 years ago, the other 4 years ago, and one I'm currently in one. I had an idea for a short film about the Mary Slessor story called Bioblical. I'm sure it's online somewhere. I called a friend to write it, and by the time we had done filming, she said it was her idea, and I'm like, but I called you. I remember the morning I called you. Anyway, I couldn't go further because I just didn't want the back and forth.
Would
was
have just
too
been
much.
too much.
So we left that. But the film itself, I saw again. Somebody had done the exact same film, almost filmed in the exact same location, and I was not even in the industry when this was done. So that person could also come to me and say,
You stole my idea.
the idea. And while it was in post, my now husband, who was editing at the studio, so he calls me up from the studio and he's like, my friend did this in film school. I'm like, I don't know your friend. I just woke up with this idea. That's one. I said 3 instances. I have a colleague who had filmed, released the trailer, but then another movie was in pre-production with the same title. I'm sure you all must have heard about this. Now, the new one in pre-production is being done by a bigger body, bigger person, more money, more clout. And this colleague, who is quite small, just it was her first time, and I didn't want to be gender specific. Anyway, is being forced to let go of the title that she has released a trailer, done
When
a
was the trailer
poster.
released?
Last year. The movie was in production, the new one, this year.
Then you're still fine. You have actually rights to it. They're the ones that would actually be infringing your copyright.
But you know what we spoke about blacklisting? She was getting
And
calls
scale.
from the
That's
powers
the
that
now-
be.
Powers that be.
You know, like just let it go.
I
just
think
let
I
it
think
go.
that's
It
where
didn't
the
hurt
third
me.
option she said of negotiations out of court and settlements.
So what will
come
the
in.
negotiation be?
That will
They
be-
have
Negotiations
released
are
the
simply
trailer.
that you worked on a film, you paid for the film to be done. You've done pre-production, done everything. You've done a trailer. You've now released it. Now the trailer that has been released, there's a timestamp to it. Obviously, like there's a date that it was released. As far as we're concerned, it's publicly available information. I can see it.
Yeah.
You can see it. We
Yes.
can all see it. I can then take your idea and say, in fact, this is fantastic. Let me get a screenwriter to work on this idea, and I'll change a few things, remove characters, change location, and blow it into something massive. Get a large film organization to back it, and that's it. And because you're smaller than me, I'll bully you to stop because I know you will end up stopping.
And that's
What you
what
need
is
to do is
happening
to
with
stand on
Virgin.
your rights and get a lawyer. And get your lawyer to contact them and actually claim
But
the
you're
reverse.
forgetting the Nigerian situation,
Where-
which is the powers that be are now
That's the
calling them,
thing.
"My
But the only
daughter,
thing is
just
that you
let
have
it
to
go.
realize that
You're so young.
And they
you're
call
still
your
gonna do
mom,
what-
they call your dad.
Oh
But
yes.
speaking
no,
of
because
the powers
you
that
need
be.
to, sorry,
Yeah.
if I could just conclude.
Sure.
Like, on your point about, yes, powers that be, but unfortunately, if you keep allowing yourself to be stepped on by larger organizations, then where will you end up? In this instance, it's a different story if you tell me in confidence that, Georgia, it actually was my idea, but I didn't write it down. It's different if you say, oh, it was my idea, I wrote it down, but I didn't register it. Or there's no email trail to prove that I have it. Or I wrote it down, there's a script, but there's no evidence of when that script was
Was written.
made available or was written.
What if I wrote it in 60B notebook?
It doesn't matter which form it is written
Yeah.
in. The point is just that it
They
is written
stopped
down.
printing in 19.
That is it. No, the point is that at the end of the day, if you can say to me as a lawyer that this is the timestamp to when you first release your information, to the extent that they're just in production now, then it obviously means that technically they stole your work. And that's not even a technically. It means that you can stand on yourself and
So
say
I
to
did
them,
it first.
I did it first. This is my movie. I'm releasing it, and I can sue you for copyright infringement. And typically, because they're working with a large studio house, they probably would not want to have any sort of copyright infringement sniffing about anywhere. You can actually decide to negotiate with them, and they pay you a fee for how much you feel you would have made
The
of
damages,
the movie,
yeah.
or at the bare minimum, the cost
Cover your
of your
costs.
production.
So that's just free consulting for
Yeah.
courtesy
need it.
Georgette. So I was talking about the powers that be and bullying.
Yes.
Now, rumor has it that
Oh,
there's this big station that would require that you sign a form. And in the form, there's a clause that states that yes, if this thing that you have submitted to us is the same as an idea that we have, you cannot hold us.
No way.
You cannot hold us. Yeah.
I would never allow my clients to sign that.
So in the case
By the
where somebody, just because they want to get their idea there and they're thinking, well, what are the odds of them having an idea like that? Because let's be honest, that doesn't protect you from them just saying, oh, good idea. Well, we kind of had, hey, Sule, the cleaner, didn't you have, you told us, yeah, fine, let's go ahead and make this idea. So in the case where someone signs that, what happens? Can that be, is
It's no
signing
longer
it's just,
applicable.
It's unfortunate that if you've signed that, you've completely assigned any rights you would have had to claiming any
Claiming to
copyright
them.
infringement.
so
which
there's no
is-
loophole anywhere? Like, is there a chance there could be some other clause that's included or a situation that makes it, you know,
No, I mean, what I mean by that is that if you've already signed it and you've not gone to a lawyer to amend it, then I'm sorry for you. I can't help you.
okay.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
In this particular instance, and I think I know the studio house you're talking about, there was a particular person that came to me randomly, and I was at a conference. And okay, maybe I shouldn't say this, but yes, I'm a very nice person sometimes. So they came to me and they're like, oh, I'm really, really sorry, but I need to ask you a question. You're an entertainment lawyer. I'm like, okay, what's the problem? And they seem really perturbed. I'm like, what's the issue? They're like, oh, they've given their content to this ex-studio house, and the studio house is saying that they absolutely love it. They want to see more. So they've already shot like a few episodes. You know how we do in the industry now. We'll go and film pilot episode 1, 2, and 3 to give you a flavor of whatever
what
it
to
is.
expect,
So he'd
yeah.
already filmed, you know, the pilot episode. They loved it. They wanted to see episode 1, 2, 3. But before taking episode 1, 2, 3, they wanted him to sign this exact like waiver form that you're talking about. And I said, over my dead body. You need to actually insist that if they like it that much, they actually change the clauses in that agreement. Either they completely remove it, or there's a timestamp to it. But it can't work either way. As a creative, how can I tell you that, oh, if you take my idea that I've cleared, it's not even an idea, I've given you a full
Finished
full
work.
finished piece
Yeah.
of work. You have it at your disposal. There is clearly evidence of me giving you access to it, and you can decide to just offshoot it and do it on your own without giving me anything that's
Due
due to
credit,
me.
yeah.
No. You have to edit that. You have to. You have to fight. There's no way.
So one movie we've mentioned, and I think I asked at the beginning of this session, I asked what movie we can use as an example as to understanding exactly how complicated this can be, and I think we mentioned
Okafor's Law.
Okafor's Law. So speaking about Okafor's Law, what would you say also with a lot of the things that we've discussed today? What would you say you've been able to maybe get from, you know, how that whole situation went down, and, you know, with some of the things that you've been able to, you know, express today?
I think it's, like I had said before, I think it's basically when you have a work, you have to quickly copyright it before you share it out. Because at that point, it's easy for me to, even if I don't have an email trail, but I have it registered and the date is there, you know, and the script is there, you know, so we can, it's easy for you to, for anyone to, is it for me to take on anyone now for a script that I've copyrighted, to be able to say, hey, you stole this thing from me, you know. So I think at that point it's even easy work for my lawyers. If I think I can even go and defend it in court, I don't think I need judgment for that.
Well, maybe you need like a law degree, but we'll get there.
So Ijoma, with knowing you have a lot of amazing ideas, and also you're very hands-on when it comes to movies. What would you say is something you feel could have been avoided in the case study of Okafor's Law?
For me, even as a company, House 5 Production, I try to do business with people of integrity, people I can trust. Because then, if my country will do now we, I'm comforted in the fact, you know, in the knowledge that this person wouldn't renege on our gentleman agreement. Why I may not be privy to all the nitty-gritty of what happened with Okafor's Law, but what I've learned from that is even in telling you the idea, like you've said, let's sign a non-disclosure. Or at best, what I do these days is an email thread, just so I can pinpoint that, okay, I sent this to you on this date and you received it, so.
So people need to know more. So there probably has to be more sessions where these guilds are actually just calling their members and then telling them, look, this is the way, this is, you know, just basic stuff that, you know, call her, I'm sure she probably won't charge much, come talk to us about this. I see a lot of big industry meetings where people are just talking, you know, but you leave those sessions and you don't have anything practical, you know.
Yeah, because it's
So
so
I
professional
think
speaking.
I think little sessions like this need to, because she hasn't even gotten into film distribution and the whole work. This is just the idea, just birthing an idea.
Yeah.
So it's a long process. I've seen cases where the culprit eventually who infringed on copyright was the editor. And when we get into piracy, we'll probably discuss that. But that's also a kind of infringement. What contract do you have with your editor? Did you say specifically that you cannot share? He might tell you, my show, I put it on my show. So you put the entire movie in a show, it's my show. I mean, I edited it. You know, but you don't have any contract with the guy. And eventually, you know, so it's a very dicey situation. So I think everyone needs to be a part of it. Because along the line, film production goes from one end down the tunnel to another end. If there's a weak link somewhere, the entire project might fall off. The entire project might fall off.
So Georgette, what's your take on how far we've come?
I think
And especially with cultivating the culture, if you might reiterate.
I think just like we've all said today, like it's incredibly important that you protect yourself and you protect your ideas. It might be difficult, you might get blacklisted, but I think that the respect the industry will have for you is your integrity and the fact that they know that you are a no-nonsense individual. It's actually pretty simple now to register your ideas, so to speak. If you have an idea for a script, write it down, whatever ideas you have, or your script in actual format, upload it on the NCC website. They have an online portal now for registration, and you'll get your certificate within like 3 to 4 weeks. Sometimes it takes a bit of time because they have a large backlog of people, but at least you know that you have that registered and protected. In the event you don't want to go that route, you can always decide that, okay, if you're sharing this with somebody, you have a one-liner in the email that says that, well, upon receipt of this, you have acknowledged that you are, going to abide by confidentiality and you are not going to share this with any other individual. In the event that I find that I have every recourse to take, under the law to be able to pursue my rights. So I don't like that method because I can easily just say to you, well, although there's a rule in law that, upon receipt of the email, once it's been sent and it's been received after a particular time period, is deemed as received. But I don't like it because, internet law is very dicey. I would rather you have, a contract that literally says XYZ, NDA, you sign, you go, or you go the NCC route and you register. But either way, please stay protected and do not, for any reason whatsoever, decide to sign a waiver form that says that they can take your work and not pay you for it.
Some people,
They add,
some
if you have
some
an
people will tell you
idea,
that they're
just
trying to
do it.
promote
Don't
you.
sleep on it. Because I'm having an idea, the
Yes.
other person is. Just
Yes.
do it.
Yes.
Make mistakes,
I
learn,
always
but
feel
do.
like, as far as ideas go,
They are dime a
when you
dozen.
have
so.
them, when you have one, there's a chance that
Dime a
somebody
dozen.
very maybe about 20 meters away who has
Sure.
the exact
The
same
same
idea.
idea.
So it's based on who actually gets to see it through first.
Execute it first,
So
yeah.
one thing also I would say I've been able to get from this as well, because it's been very informative and I've learned quite a lot, is the waiver deal. Don't just say, oh, well, if I want to get this idea through, so let me just sign this waiver. So a lot of us disregard clauses. I would even say, even with even submitting videos to music
Yeah,
stations,
music, yeah.
like there are clauses there.
Yeah.
And many times I haven't worked there before, I'd be like, oh, these guys actually sign us.
Yeah.
Because it's ridiculous. And then also, as far as an NDA is concerned, you might make enemies, you might actually get blacklisted, but I think in cultivating our culture, it'll get us closer to actually being more professional with other things as well. And then, it might, who knows, might even reflect on other things can be respected, and who knows how far it can go. We haven't even touched the distribution and other things as well.
course.
But I guess we can always start from somewhere. It's only for the betterment of the industry.